Well, hi everybody, and welcome to the iCouch, the 3:25 a.m. Melbourne version. I have just sat there and watched 6 hours of some of the most incredible vision of cross country that I really, to be honest, didn't expect to be seeing. After having chatted to various friends and good information gatherers from London, the idea was that the course was, maybe a big two-star, that it was catering for those nations who were, weaker eventing nations, and making sure that everybody could get round, and that the time was going to be really tight. It was a twisty course. It was a hilly course. So rather than having really big fences, which might make eventing seem a little untidy to the rest of the world, keep the fences small, make it tight, end up with people having time faults, and that'll sort it out. Well, I think whoever manufactures blow-up vest canisters is going to basically retire after everybody that burst one has to go and buy another one, because it seemed to be that every second rider was just going ping, 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 whether they were falling off at a fence or slipping over in a corner. This was the most amazing thing that I have seen in ages. Started off pretty well. The trailblazer Boyd Martin went around and made it look fantastic. I think 3.6 time. Looked like he was going pretty hard. And then when Chris Burton started cantering out, he didn't look like he was going as fast. And, we from the iCouch expert area all sat there thinking, oh, come on, get a move on, Chris. But the mare obviously has a really long stride, and he came in under time. And what looked like it might be the start of many nice, long, boring rounds, all of a sudden changed. So after Boyd and Chris made these lovely rounds and made the course look so super rideable, everybody then proceeded to get off. Basically, I think that the difference here between the Olympic Games and, say, the World Championships or badminton or another four-star is that in the Olympics you do get all of these nations who are rookie eventers, and you really do have to cater for everybody, otherwise the sport's not going to exist as part of the Olympic Games. So when people say, oh, these guys are meant to be the best in their country, they're meant to be Olympians, well, yeah, these guys might be from, Poland or, West Idaho, East South, we're somewhere over there, and they've never ever done any eventing, and they don't have a support team. It's not strong in their country. So, when we talk about the Olympics, we really are talking about a massive variety in standard here. And so, therefore, team it up with a course that's quite twisty and making the horses get a little tired. And then the biggest factor of the whole thing was the slippery ground. I mean, that in itself was a major factor. Anyone that knows if you've got to go fast and you're on slippery ground, it's the first thing to make you go A over T. Our second rider out, Sam Griffiths, really had a crack at going for time, but unfortunately he just looked a little bit shaky for sort of the whole way around. The horse was just trying to go around on two wheels a little bit through some corners, and unfortunately for Sam, he ended up coming off on the flat. He had a couple of little dodgy moments here and there, and those falls on the flat are so frustrating, because if you're going to fall off, you at least think you're going to fall off at a jump. Anyway, no harm done, all good. There were a fair few holds on course too from people coming off, and obviously being the Olympics, they've got to do everything by protocol in the right way and look after the horses and riders. So it did take an extra hour to complete rather than the scheduled time. We also had Andrew Hoy going out looking fantastic, did a great job. He really rode like the super professional that he is, and it's a really, really nice horse. Had a little whoopsie jumping off the big bank when he got sort of popped forward, but managed to really quickly stick himself back in the right place, as he does. So a fantastic job by him. Unfortunately, it just wasn't the Fredericks weekend. I mean, these guys are, professionals. They run a business where they are competing every weekend. Lucinda's horse was a real jumper, but jumped into the water and just ran away with her, and she tried to steer it up a bank, and whether it didn't read it properly or what happened, it scooted out to the side, and then she tried to pull it around to get it back into the water to do the option, and it was just running through her hand. So she didn't look particularly pleased with it. She managed to get it around the rest of the track to her credit, but that would have been super disappointing for her. Clayton could have been that third score that we needed, and Clayton could always put up a super performance, but he again too fell victim to the slippery ground, canted into the super big bank to the skinny. Whether or not trotting was maybe a preferable option, depending on how your horse jumps it, might have slowed things down a little bit with the slippery ground. Who knows? Anyway, horse jumped down beautifully, of the 4 strides from the bank to the skinny, did 2 on the second one, started to slip on the third one. It was on its side, and Clayton had absolutely no chance of staying on whatsoever. So in a split heartbeat like that, it's all of a sudden game over, no games, no team, no team score worthy of a medal, which is, dashing, hopes are dashed in 0.2 of a second. Other noteworthy riders, Ingrid Klimke, oh my God, this woman managed to make go-kart racing look easy. I mean, that is actually how you had to ride this track. If you had any childhood growing up experience of Super Mario Kart, that's pretty much what cross-country at Greenwich Park needed to be ridden, in that fashion. You had to have a horse that was balanced. You had to have a horse that was responsive. You couldn't go around corners falling in or leaning on the inside rein, because horses would just lose their footing straight away. So those horses that didn't pull too hard, could be kicked along, really covered the ground, were nippy, had a cleverness to them, and an athleticism. Sorry, I'm sorry, it's so late. These are the ones that really jump super well. Dirk Schrader, another fantastic rider from Germany, was up there, did a really lovely round, make it look pretty easy. The Japanese riders, disappointment. A few air canisters, let off there. Who else? Michael Jung, great round, really, really great round. So, the people that are expected to do well, most of them did come home, but then there were some surprises. William Fox Pitt and Mark Todd really wrapped up the end of the day, which was nice to see. It's always good to end on a fine note. William came home super well, really athletic little horse, and you can see why he chose this horse for the event. Mark Todd, as always, a joy to watch. I can't believe he's 56. For such a tall man, he's incredibly flexible and so light and athletic in the saddle, and did a super job on this horse, and was absolutely as a joy to watch, and retained his 3rd place. So basically we're looking at the same order that we had yesterday going into the jumping tomorrow. It should be really interesting. We thought originally the track maybe wasn't going to be so tricky, but having looked at how the horses travelled over the ground, I think the trot up may result in some horses with strained adductors. So a lot of that sideways slipping motion, they won't necessarily be jarred up because the ground wasn't hard, but muscle strain from slipping over. That'd be kind of my pick of any troubles they might have tomorrow. I must say, the first thing I thought of when I saw these horses winging round these corners and sliding through the water was a little bit like when you're a kid and you put a tarpaulin and a hose on it and threw the morning fresh on it and went flying down the hill with bubbles everywhere, sliding on your butt in your bathers. That's what it looked like. So I think the riders that were sensible and rode as hard as they could, but also made sure they stayed on 4 legs, they were the ones that ended up doing a great job. Anyone that really pushed it too hard for the Olympic occasion ended up horizontal. Anyway, I think it's time for bed. It's been a really interesting evening's viewing. I'll apologise now for the dishevelled look of one Miss Amanda Ross, and hopefully tomorrow we'll have a great day's show jumping. Disappointment for the guys and Lucinda. They really could have produced amazing performances, but this is the name of the story, name of the game. As long as everybody's okay and they're ready to fight another day, that's all we can ask. Anyway, good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.